Whether you agree with me or not, it's undeniable that there is some sort of hidden motives that actually drive a lot of our emotions and actions. And at the end of the day, if you track back and look at your day, a lot of the things that you did or felt that day is rooted in two main concepts that I would like to suggest, or two main concepts that I view um, the main dictators of our actions and emotions. One of the main dictators, which is actually the concept of ideals and non ideals. So I'm not sure if this is a new concept or anything. I'm not claiming it is, but if it's presented in other materials, and please note that I'm not presenting it as my own. I'm just simply presenting it how it is to me. So ideals and non-ideals. Ideals are basically the things that have been built throughout your life to be the medium or the standard of what it means to be in the correct position, or what it means to be in the um, right side of things. Whenever there's two things, like I said, we love to dichotomize. So ideals and non-ideals is an example of a dichotomy. And as much as I'm not a fan of discrete dichotomies, this is probably an um, undeniable concept that most of us could be experiencing. Ideals and non-ideals. And of course, non-ideals are self-explanatory. They're the opposite of what you want to happen and what you want to feel. So these drive us in such a way that we will always want to favor our own ideals. We will always want our own ideals to prevail in everything that happens to us in our lives. And no matter how selfless you are, no matter if you're a big charity donor, no matter if you're a saint, no matter if you are some sort of, no matter how pure you might perceive yourself to be, we will always have our own ideals and our ideals, and that's not a bad thing. It's simply what we think we should strive for, or what we should fight for, what we should um, favor, right? And that bleeds a lot into our life. It permeates a lot into what we do. But a glaring example would be actually conflict, if you think about it. Conflict, whether it's intrapersonal or with other people, you would soon realize that the presence of ideals and non-ideals in your side and the other party's side is what um, gives rise to the conflict in the first place. Another example could be your reaction to an outcome or result. Your reaction will heavily depend on your ideals and non-ideals. Or maybe something has done something and it's not even directly related to you, and your reaction or judgment to that something will heavily depend on your ideals and non-ideals. This dichotomy is actually one of the biggest hindrance to learning and to improvement, because we are limiting how we feel based on what we want to favor. It's a form of self-bias in a way, because you're already biasing yourself to think that, oh, this doesn't fit to my ideals. I should automatically feel bad about it or feel angry about it. Or maybe I should stay away from it. Instead, we fail to realize that if we don't have any ideals or non ideals, we will instantly just look at something as it is, and we pick off or we take off from that fact that something presents itself as it is, and it's up to us to see how we could take off from that point on and veer ourselves into a trajectory that would allow us to use that event instead of us premeditating what to already feel because of our ideals and non-ideals. Then again, I would gladly use conflict as an example because it's one of the most obvious examples of where we want to make our own ideals prevail, right? Since there is a conflict, there must be some sort of misalignment between your ideal and the ideal of the other person, right? So there will now be this sense of you trying to fight for what you think is right, just because you think that, or you have already dictated yourself that your ideal was what should have prevailed in the first place. And you're failing to realize that the conflict has risen in the first place because of this misalignment. And even if that conflict isn't interpersonal, it's also intrapersonal. A lot of our negative reactions and emotions to things heavily depend on the assignment that we give something immediately. Whether it may be, learned or conditioned or constructed by us forcefully, there's this inherent need for us to dichotomize, which is, again, um, interconnected to the third recording in this channel. So, I'd like to suggest that if you try to actively remove ideals and non ideals from your thinking, do not allow yourself any form of bias, do not allow yourself any form of temptation to actually dichotomize the situation. Just take the situation as it is. Even if it violates your own values, even if it violates your own beliefs, even if it violates a lot of things in your life, it's not necessarily a non ideal immediately. It's non ideal in your world, yes, because it's not congruent with your beliefs, values, and ideas. But if you dissect the situation just enough for you to turn it into a situation that would give you the most meaning, then you have successfully removed all chances of you wasting so much time in worrying about something or an outcome that you cannot even control in the first place. Like example, a fight, a conflict, it's already happened. You cannot change the outcome. You cannot change the fact that there was a misalignment with your ideals. So what can you change? You can change how you view the conflict in the first place. You can change a lot of how you view things simply with the reverence, with the respect that there is no practical use in you giving yourself bias. I might seem like I'm going around the bush, and maybe I am, because I'm just talking, I don't have a script. But I hope you got my point. There is a lot of things happening in this world at once, and it is very hard to process them immediately. And what we are tempted to do is already pre-program ourselves so that it wouldn't be so taxing to already think of how to react to them, since we have already given ourselves the directive to already react to something a certain way. Because it's convenient. It's convenient to be biased. It's convenient to be conditioned. It's it takes some practice, and it's actually hard to actually dissect the situation and appreciate it for what it can offer. And of course, your ideals and non-ideals can't be removed overnight. What you can do is, whenever you are tempted to dichotomize a situation, play the devil's advocate. See how something, see how an ideal can be turned into a non-ideal, and how a non-ideal can be ideal. You'll notice soon enough that you'll be meshing them together in such a way that you don't see two separate things, but one entity wherein you can learn so much from. There's a lot of things that we could improve on, and one of them is our perspective. And removing ourselves from any form of bias is a noble step towards self improvement in any form. So I'm sorry if I did not make uh, all the sense in the world, but I hope you got my point. I'll talk to you in the next one.